And I will say this, just to shout out somebody who was there who won't mind us mentioning. Mr. Thomas 777 was there. Um, Bagby has been on, I think, over half of the episodes of Thomas's new season of Mind Phaser. And if you are not subscribed and you're not listening to these two talk, you are missing out. I've listened to each of those episodes at least twice. And just imagine Thomas and Bagby talking about what civilization would really look like if men were allowed to be men. It's incredible. Every time Bagby opens his mouth, I'm listening.
Well, thank you for letting me know, because I am a Mind Phaser subscriber, but I haven't kept up with it lately. So that is very good news, because that's basically two of my favorite guys talking with each other. I mean, this is going to be great stuff. I can't wait to listen to that.
Alrighty. Well, let us move on. After we had lunch on Sunday, we went over and we had Mr. Capitalissimo come in and give a talk. This was also a more practical talk. He was giving us tips and advice on how to thrive in cities and take back little bits and parts of them that we can. So definitely, this one had a little bit of a lively Q&A too, specifically between him and Aaron McIntyre going back and forth. So what do we have to say about Cap's speech?
His speech was one that I very much would appreciate him putting into an article or a video that we could host. Tactically, it was very sound. It gave a lot of good avenues by which we can, have our own enclaves within the cities and maybe even take them over, which I know, dear listener, sounds like an impossibility. But when you listen to Cap break it down, it seems a lot more doable. And it's not just that we want the cities because they have a cultural history or because there are so many people in them, though that is important too. But the cities lend a kind of cultural currency to any given movement or group. So and while Cap didn't necessarily make the most of this point, our brothers in the hinterlands can have their cultural status increased by those in the cities pushing in the same direction. So it was definitely something that I would love to see broken down more.
Yes, not only is taking back the cities not impossible, it is indispensable. With all respect, Pete, to your advice to get out of the cities, we must contest them. We cannot leave that ground unchallenged. If you do, I invite you to study the Russian Civil War for what that looks like when the city goes to war with the country. It doesn't work out well for the country. And in that sense, Capitalissimo's speech was the most important to me in terms of content, because I'm in Chicago, I'm in a big city, and it was a revelation to me, the legal mechanisms, the very clever legal workarounds that he suggested to actually go about, if not taking the cities back, at least contesting them.
It is funny you mentioned that.
I did agree with a lot of what he had to say. Russian Civil War is a little different. All the armories were in the cities. All the guns are not in the cities right now.
That's correct. And the American situation would definitely be different because we have this rich store of arms in the hands of the peasantry, as it were. But scale still matters.
Yeah, I think his speech was possibly the most important in terms of immediate information like that, because, I've left the cities because that's where I personally want to be. I haven't left for political reasons, nor do I think that it is a good idea to do for political reasons. And if our people all flee the cities, we're just going to lose. We have to control the cities. They are our ancestral heritage as well. It's ridiculous, the idea that we have to abandon them. We don't have to, and there are ways we can take them. And I would like to see Capitalismo basically lead a committee within the club that turns his research into action. And if not him, someone else who feels motivated and wants to work with him in the club needs to actually come to us and found that committee, because frankly, it just needs to be done, and it needs to be done now. This is something that I can't take up after the conference, but we need someone to take up. So I'm really hoping someone will come to us, maybe Cap himself, and actually lead this effort.
Yeah, that would be excellent because, as I said, this is one of the more important action items to emerge from the conference.
I do. On your point from earlier, Mr. Quinn, I did. I thought this during Cap's speech that it was almost like a tailor-made speech just for you. So it's no surprise.
I thought the same thing.
Yeah, so it's no surprise you're giving it such praise. So, alrighty. So moving on after Cap's speech, we have our very own Mr. Raging Mandrill, who gave his speech. It was also a theory-based talk. Actually, Mandrill, since you're here, why don't you give the audience your basic pitch for your conference talk this year?
Right. So this essentially was a talk about the origination point of Boomer Truth. There is a book that you can find, and you should all look up. Right. It is called The War Against the West, and it is by a individual by the name of Aurel Kolnai. It is on Internet Archive. I highly suggest you all go read it. The essential point of the speech was to go through some of the quotations he has, discuss them, and to give step by step how exactly Boomer Truth was formulated and where exactly, and to basically prove that this book is where what we know as Boomer Truth came from this gentleman's mind.
It was definitely a very spicy speech. I really enjoyed that. But more than that, I had one of my friends at the organization, or one of my friends at the group, also one of our brothers, was saying, he kept being like, "Wait a minute, when was this written? Wait a minute, when was this written? There's no way that what was being said in this book was written before the modern age." But it as you pointed out in your talk, Mandrill, he basically wrote the book on Boomer Truth.
Yes, it is published originally in 1938. So take that for what it's worth.
Yeah, I have to.
Yeah, I think your speech was actually the most successful in terms of meeting a fairly high ambition, because I knew the contents of your thesis before going into it, and we had talked about it last time we had met personally, and I was really hoping to see it all come together, and I think you made the case perfectly for your thesis that this singular book, which has the contents, saying just Boomer Truth is an understatement. The book describes the entire post-war international order before the war even begins. But not only that, you did what I said you needed to do, which is actually connect it to the politicians and the other people involved in policy making, and you achieved that tremendously well. So I would say that in terms of the ambition you set for yourself at a theory level, this was probably the best theory speech we've had.
You made it very clear that Kolnai didn't just guess right about what the future would hold. You laid out the causal connection and saw that this book was an actual prime mover in the history of the 20th century.
Yes, which is why I brought it to everyone's attention, because it is such an obscure work that no one has ever mentioned it to me in any context. And as I mentioned in my talk, I quite literally stumbled on it in my school library. And I think I have to say as well, you mentioned that it was very spicy. There were several reactions. I was talking to Mr. Fahrenheit after the talk was over, and he basically said there was a line that existed that you basically went right up to the edge of, but I was successful in not crossing over that line. And I think Pete said something similar to me as well. So I think it was successful in saying what needed to be said with the discipline that it needed to be said.
Yeah, agree 100%.
Well
and
done.
I'm hoping I think you guys may. I mean, I saw Pete asking about this, but I'm kind of hoping maybe you two do some podcasts about this, or take this research further, or at least talk about this book more and dig into the connections even more deeply to Mr. Churchill and other figures.
We can
Yes.
talk about that off. We can talk about that while we're not recording.
Indeed.